Welcome to the bold analysis. After a series of court cases and litigation on finance bill, the government got its way through the Court of Appeal. And I said in this podcast here that the real issue here is government was trying to manage the population, and they decided clearly to use Okiya Omtata's petition that was taken to judiciary through a very good intentions, but it was hacked immediately it got in the corridors of court. And while that is something that it was touching on across many other issues, housing levy was in that finance bill. 1.5% deduction from your salary matched with 1.5 from your employer. This money was supposed to go into affordable housing kitty. But a latest circular from the State Department on Urban Development is painting a different picture, and I want us to look at it here. They are saying that the housing levy deductions is going to be done by KRA as the collection agent. Now, being that the State Department on Housing and Urban Development said the levy will be payable and the employer at 1.5 and the same matched by the employee. And there is a question of it now being collected by KRA as tax. Now, if that deduction is being done by KRA, so where does it go? Is it just part of any other tax? Or has KRA been given strict instructions on how it's going to be put into some specific kitty? But the other thing has also emerged on backdating it. Now, the housing levy has been backdated to July 1. What does this mean? Now, those who are going to receive their salaries or receiving their salaries at the end of this month, we are in August. At the end of August, they will make sure that you pay from the July 1. So you're going to meet those deductions in your pay slip. If you didn't pay, if they did deduct that of July 1, simply because it had not been implemented, rather it was stopped by the court, then you've not missed it. The reality is still going to catch up with you, that they will deduct it in your payslip. So it will be backdated, it will start by then. Now, what does this then means? That how about other taxes? Because even us as content creators, we are supposed to give 5%. I don't know whether ours is also going to be subjected to that. And we are also going to experience the cuts, or rather the 5% deductions. It's a matter of wait and see. But then questions have then emerged, and I think when this article has been done by Nation, on the issue of the KRA and how the government has played some few games with it here. Now, High Court received the case from Okiya Omtata and decided to put suspension on the finance bill until the case will be heard. Then government rushed to Court of Appeal, and the suspension was lifted on the grounds that it had the risk of collapsing government, since government cannot collect money. But the Supreme Court instituted a bench of judges, 3 bench judges, to relook to look into the case and decide the matter. And remember, one of the bone of contentions, even in the petition, is about the affordable housing levy, the housing levy. And so importantly, I'm just trying to look at it this way. It has a slow uptake, pole pole. And after things settled, about the protest about mass action, they did not take, because by that time, probably if they would have made those deductions, then those deductions would have, it would have charged the masses again. But this is happening in a very unfamiliar territory, space here, because the teachers and the police were also threatening to lead mass action after their payslips were raided by some other deductions that had not even been stipulated, or rather communicated earlier. There was a way NSSF was revised in some pension. It was revised upwards without even prior communication or public participation on those stakeholders. And police and teachers and another section of civil servants had, I think even nurses, had also threatened to protest against the move. So clearly, we are getting into very unfamiliar spaces. Now, this brings me to something I want to say before I look at these three critical issues on this question of finance bill on housing levy. William Ruto successfully unleashed the police on the public, those who were protesting about what was happening here and there, what was happening in the country. And the Kenya Kwanza administration projected themselves as agents of success, that they had successfully managed the situation. But if you managed it by, unleashing the security forces and people then had that fear and left, but does it mean that the problems that people are raising were solved? The answer is no. So that is why, as this now finance bill is trying now, its ugly face it will start raining terror. Its ugly face, terror on Kenyans. That is when I think the Kenya Kwanza will realize that it was better to leave the people protest, because the worst is a situation where people feel like they have been oppressed or things are not good, but they're also not free to express their feelings on the same. I have some three observations and I think queries about this latest development, and probably this needs a very good clarification for those who will come out to defend this move. And the finance bill would then be seen as a political gimmick in the corridors of courts. The government itself, and negotiated its way there. If you remember, at the onset of the mediation talks, there was something or some talk that Azimio should withdraw case, or rather Azimio should talk to those who sued government on finance bill to withdraw the case. But again, it sublimed. I think tactically they also retreated from that. But it looked like it was a political gimmick, because immediately the Court of Appeal lifted the suspension, everything started, even awaiting the Supreme Court verdict. Now, it was never a tax, and the housing levy was supposed to go. Of course, there was account to be created under Consolidated Bank for it to go as a kitty, especially for the building of the houses. Now, if that is the intention, or that was the intention, then when you put KRA in it, how is it going to be classified, or how is it going to be classified as a housing levy if the tax collector, because KRA collects all the taxes? So what is bit of the classification, whether that is going to be done? It's a question that may need to be addressed well. Now, in the housing levy discussion, apart from the percentage, the discussion about percentage, there was also another concern about the operation framework that had been legislated by Parliament, and it seems to have been dropped. Parliament was supposed to sit and legislate on the operation, the management of that fund. In fact, I remember the talk, the Kenya Kwanza saying they are going to appoint a fund manager to manage the fund. So that seems to be now, they seems to have changed, dropped the position of getting a fund manager to spearhead, to manage the kitty, and it's now going to be managed in the corridors of government. Is it going to be safe? And how clearly you're going to relate the houses built with the levy? Are we just going to collect another tax? Ladies and gentlemen, that is my take. I don't know what's your take on backdating the housing levy. You really want to share? I think it's going to have some burden. It's going to affect, the payrolls. But again, that is what Kenya chose.